Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to be making a Valentine card, but actually we're going to be showing you how to make kits that you can give so that other people can make Valentine's cards. I hope you'll stay tuned. Well, this time of year you have a lot of people who need ideas and are burned out from winter and just don't have a clue about what to do to move forward for Valentine's Day. And that includes teachers who are going to make Valentines with their classes. And in my case, my friend works at an assisted living facility and she is in the activities department. So they need ideas to keep their people that are winter bound, can't go anywhere, can't do anything, to keep them active and engaged. So I made up these packets, and that everything I just showed you was in a packet for a card. I made enough so that all of the people who wanted to participate would be able to in this project, and I thought I would walk you through it and show you step by step how to make one of these cards from beginning to end. And I have two packets. This packet is for what we'll call the team leader, teacher, activity director. It's going to have things in it that are sharper, brads. If you don't know what brads are, it's paper piercing tool. It looks like this, and then on the back it's got these two prongs that you open, and that's what holds it in place on the card. But those are sharp, and I cut myself with one yesterday, which made me think I better put them separate. And I have a bunch of different designs that are Halloween inspired. Then I also punched out, using an old paper punch, I punched out a bunch of red hearts in case somebody just wanted to put hearts all over their card. So there's a bunch of those in there. Each card, of course, has its own envelope. These are what's called an A2 size card, which means it is 5.5 inches tall by 4.25 inches wide. I didn't like the idea. Well, first let me say this. I bought this set at Michael's, and they were pre-made card bases, and I wasn't crazy about so much beige and the hearts. So I took watercolor paint and I just painted around the edges. Don't worry, no one's going to see that hot mess. It's all going to be covered up with, except for a little border, with this piece that is 4 inches by 5.25 inches. So you can see it just gives you that little red border with a little hint of the hearts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this piece to it. And I'm not going to really adhere it well because I'm going to be, in the end, we're going to be adding some ribbon and making sure that it has some bling on it. But you can't do that after it's attached. So we've got to kind of attach it after the fact. I'm putting what's called foam tape on this. And foam tape is just double-sided foam, double-sided adhesive foam that you can attach to any project. It gives your card a little bit of dimension. It's not a huge amount of dimension, it's just a little bit. You can see how thin that foam is. You could also use fun foam if you wanted to make cards and you didn't have, or you didn't want to buy foam adhesive, because it can be a little bit pricey. You can just take any type of fun foam. This is just your basic kids fun foam, and you would cut it just a little bit smaller than this piece, and then you'd want to adhere it with a strong double-sided adhesive. And in my case, I recommend tear tape, which looks like this, and I'm going to make sure I include a roll of this in the box of goodies, and you just take the backing off of it when it's ready to be adhered. So that's your alternative to having foam tape. So let's talk again about what we want to put on this card. And I'm going to just kind of lay this in place so you have an idea of how this is going to look as we go. I cut out some doilies. They were this big, and I thought, geez, that's not going to make it onto a card. So what I did was I just cut the center out, like that part of it. and I cut them on some gold ones, some silver ones, and obviously some red ones. And they're very thin. So sometimes you think you've got one and you end up having 2 or 3 of them. That's what I have here. I thought I had one white one, then all of a sudden they all started popping apart and I realized I had 3 of them. So just wanted to forewarn you about that in case you are putting one of these down on a project. You want to make sure you play with it to make sure that if there is more than one layer, that you glue them together so that they don't all of a sudden the top one peel off of your project and you go, uh-oh, now I've got a little problem here. So I also die cut a bunch of images that I'd stamped, and this one is from Inky Antics. It's an old one that I got at a stamp show. I was trying to find the name of it. I just have a number on it. It's M30695J, and it's a dog and cat. I think it's adorable. Used it before many times and always thought it was fun, and the results, you always get good results when you use red rubber stamps. You get a really nice clean image. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some kind of coloring on this. You could use crayons, you could use watercolor pencils, you could use water brushes, you could use water markers, alcohol markers, you name it. The sky's the limit on what you can do to color these. I'm going to use water-based markers. The reason I chose water-based markers is because a lot of people have Crayolas. And this doesn't require anything more than your basic Crayola marker. So if you wanted to make sure you were happy with your results, Crayola markers will do it for you. I'm just using a piece of plastic packaging. This is just for a palette I'm making. You could use a glass tile, a glass plate. You could basically use anything that will hold a medium without having it sink in. And I'm just going to scribble on a couple different colors. I'm going to use, this is called Creamy Caramel, and then I wanted to go with a darker color, but I don't want to go too dark. I guess I'll go with this one. This one is called Close to Cocoa. Not really in the same color family, but we're going to give it a whirl. Hopefully you can, it'll liquefy just fine. And I'm going to add a little bit of this chocolate chip to darken that up a little bit. It'll all make sense in a second. You're going to take any kind of watercolor paintbrush, or a paintbrush, any paintbrush you've got on hand will be great. And you're going to liquefy, I just wet my brush with a little bit of water. I'll put my water closer so you can see it. I'm just going to just do this, and that's going to liquefy that marker and make it so that we'll be able to color everything with it. Alright, our dog is pretty much done. The only thing I have left to do now is his nose, and I'm going to put some, I like to put a little red cheek, pink cheek on them. We want to wait for the nose to dry before I go in and put some pink on both of them. If you do ever use this technique and you've got a little bit of watercolor that's seeped out from your image, if you just take water on your brush, I'm going to show you again. I don't know if you saw that right in here there's a little bit of brown that I don't want there. So you just kind of use a wet brush, not soaking wet, just damp, and just go over the spots that you don't like. Alright, next up, let's do our kitty cat. If you don't like your palette with a bunch of colors you can't see on it, like mine is right now, just take a cloth and wipe it off so that you can basically start over. And I'm going to use light yellows. This one is called Barely Banana. This one is called So Saffron. And this one is called, it's a secret, why can't I find the name? Summer Sun. I'm going to liquefy the Barely Banana and we'll see if we get any color from that. Again, don't have too much water on your brush. I put a little outline around the cat with the darkest yellow. Hopefully you can see that. It just gives it a little bit something. Adds a little bit spice to it. Then I'm going to put, I think I'm going to do a little bit of grass beneath them. Now, last thing I'm going to show you when it comes to coloring backgrounds is this. If you are trying to avoid having a big blotchy background, see on the left side how blotchy it is? This is the time when it's still damp to just kind of, what I do is I kind of do like a swirly motion, and it blends out some of the inconsistencies you have going on there. Okay, the other thing I want to do before I go any further, I have this little sea sponge. It's cool because it gives good texture. You could use a regular sponge if you didn't have one of these. It's not crucial that you have this type of sponge. The thing that's neat about these kind of sponges is all of these little divots, we'll call them. I'm going to use some Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink on my damp, it's only damp, it's not wet, damp sponge. And I'm going to play with this on another piece of paper so you can see this in action. You want to just kind of pounce. Can you see that? That's what you're going for, because what we're going to be creating is, we're looking at like, we're going to call it a cloudy background. And you have to be careful when you do this because you don't want to get it on your dog and your cat. You just want to pounce it around. We'll you'll see the cool difference this makes. But see how it gives it a more mottled look? I think it's just kind of fun. So we did that. So we have our card base, and we have this piece that we're going to attach to it. Now, in the kit, now this is all things that are in that kit. In that packet, I gave every card. Each packet makes one card. So in the packet, you'll have 6 little glue dots, and then you'll have a heart of some color. You'll have this kind of beadwork, and you'll also have ribbon, although I don't know where the ribbon went for that piece. I gave the ribbon for 2 reasons. One is if you just want to put this ribbon on the front of your card, you could do it. The other reason I did it was because if you wanted to use it as the backing, let's say, I'm just lay it like this, for this to make it stick, like stand out more on your card, then that was the second reason I did it. So in this case, I already did one card with the ribbon in the traditional sense, and this was just using everything in the kit. The only thing that's different from the kit is this Happy Valentine's Day. That was a die that I cut out, and after I tried to attach it to this card, I went, this is way too tricky for somebody to try and do that has any kind of dexterity issues. Keeping in mind, I should know. It took me forever to get that to stay, so I didn't think anyone would want to do that. So I stamped out a bunch of Happy Valentine's Day signals. Then, on this card, I ran out of the heart background paper, so I just put this kind of paper on, and I used the same dog and cat, the Happy Valentine's Day, but this time I used a row of these little pearls and put those on, and that the pearls were also, should have been also in the baggie. I don't know why the pearls weren't in your baggie, but they are in the rest of the baggies. So in this one, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my foam off, my foam backing off. So what I'm going to do, remember when you do your card, you always want to check to see where is it open, because 9 times out of 10, I glue things in upside down. So you want to make sure if it opens there that your hearts are in this direction. So what I want to do is I want to take my ribbon, and I'm going to put my ribbon on backwards because, as I said, I'm going to use, ooh, stuck to my finger. I'm going to use this, man, that stuff's sticky. I'm going to use my ribbon, not really as ribbon, but more as the backing for this. So I've already got this attached. When you attach ribbon underneath on the back of a card like this, if you've already put adhesive down, like I have adhesive there, you're going to want to put a little bit of adhesive on your ribbon, because otherwise that part of the card is not going to be adhered. And I always put, if I have spots where I don't think there's enough glue close to the edge, like the foam tape is not close to the edge, I always try to add a little bit more glue. In this case, I got something coming out from under the edge that I don't like. We're just going to layer, I think that's pretty good. You just want to make sure that it's all well adhered. Then, when it comes to these little pieces, what I did was I made sure that you have enough to go from the top to the bottom of your card. But in my case, I'm not going all the way to the bottom. I'm only going to go to the end of this piece. So I'm going to cut mine off. And the other thing I noticed about these, I got these from the Dollar Tree. They have, hopefully you can see that. Can you see that there's like string that hangs out on the edges and on the bottom? If that bugs you, it bugs me. If it bugs you, just take your scissors and kind of just gently cut it off. And then to get it to stick down, there's a roll of tear tape included in the kit, in the packet that has all the supplies that other people would share. And so I'm just going to put down 2 rows of tear tape on this. When you use tear tape, you always want to really rub it, especially the ends, because if you want to take the backing off easily, that's the best way to do it. And then the backing just came off. But if you didn't do a good job of rubbing the end, you're going to end up having it pull that backing off and your tape, and you don't want that. It happens to me all the time. You want to get this as straight as possible. That's better. You can reposition things, which is nice. I'm going to put tear tape on the back of the dog and cat because when you use any water on a back of paper, it'll get waffly on you, and you don't want that to happen on your card. So you're going to have to put an adhesive down that's going to be tough enough that's going to be able to flatten it. If you have a pokey tool, which is what this is, that really comes in handy for taking these backing off. You can also use a thick pin to do things like this, and you're going to use this for your brad too. So I'll show you how to do that. You can put a bunch on, or a little, or one, or whatever. I have this little sentiment that says "I love you." I thought this would be fun for on the inside of my card, and I'm going to put a hole right beside you, like that. You see the hole? And then we're just going to take one of these little hearts. I want to decide which one I like. I guess I'll just use a red one. I'm just going to pull the 2 little legs apart, and then I'm going to turn my heart so it's the direction I want it to be in. I think I want it to be a little bit like that. So that's that piece. Then I have some sparkly hearts, and I have the ones that are like the candy hearts that say something like, on this one it says "Kiss Me." And I thought it'd be fun to maybe put the "Kiss Me" right there. Hopefully it's far enough down. Yeah, it's cute. Put "Kiss Me" like that. And again, you gotta flatten out those 2 little legs. So I put the 3 I put the 3 glue dots on the back, and you want to just want to rub them, and then the backing will pull off. Now, we need to decide where we're going to put not only our dog and cat, but also our heart. So we're going to put the dog and cat relatively close to that right edge, and I already put that tear tape on it so it'll really be well adhered and flat. I have this little Happy Valentine's Day, and I thought what I would do is create a banner out of it. And the way you do that is you're going to make a notch in the center from one end, and then you can make this as small or as long as you want. I'm going to make mine kind of big because I have a big edge. So then you're going to cut from the bottom right into the center, and then from the top right into the center. And you should end up with, if everything pulls off, you end up with a banner like that. Now I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape behind that, and I'm going to make that from the edge of the white of the card, like the edge of this white piece right there. I could have added a bunch more things, but the only thing I have left that I definitely want to do, and that is add the "I love you" to the inside as my sentiment. on the inside of the card. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tear tape on the back of that because it's got that brad sticking out. If you remember, we put a little heart in the inside there. You don't have to do any of these things. These are just like ways to bling your card up a little bit more. So if you have somebody that really wants to spend a lot of time playing with their card, they have the ability to do that because you have lots of different things to attach. So that, let me push that down a little bit harder. So that is the inside of our card. Well, because I couldn't stop myself, you know, I had to make 3 different versions of this card. So there are the first 2, and there is the one we just made. You can do all kinds of things with them. You can make them as intricate or as simple as you want, but I thought they were all kind of fun. And then, because I couldn't stop myself, I made a whole nother set of Easter ones that they're in there too, Mary. So I hope you enjoy this. And if you are a parent of someone that's in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, I don't know when they stop making Valentines in class, but I think it would be a great class project for you to send in. If you're a crafty hoarder like myself and you have so many of these kinds of supplies on hand, it'd be great to be able to send little packets that everybody would be able to make their own card from the packets that you supplied. And if you have a parent that's in assisted living or a nursing home, it's equally great if you would be able to help the activities people out with ideas like this. I hope you enjoyed this and that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.